you have complete control.
Yeah.
It's to some people, it might be scary, like hearing that for the first time, like, damn, my life is 100% my responsibility. Like I have a choice to think positive or think negative. Like it's nobody else is going to do that for you.
Yeah.
And that choice for me, like that's the best part of being like alive, is that I don't have to depend on anybody to perceive my life. Like I could have it however I want, whatever I want to feel. I could make that happen for me. And that frees you in a way when you understand that about yourself, that if somebody says something hateful to me, I don't have to see it as hate. Like I could send love to that person. Even though they sent hate, I could send love. Like that's a choice. That's a fucking choice. Hello everybody and welcome to the Sound 14 podcast. Today I'm with my man Ramsey. How's it going?
Good. How about you, man?
Good. Yeah, we just came in here early morning. But yeah, we were talking about the NBA season recently.
Yep.
That was like our first like connection. I think that we were both in the same class in management, but he came in one day and I think I was looking up something on Instagram where you saw that I like basketball, like you watch NBA too.
Yeah.
And that was like our first interaction where we're like, okay, we could do it. And that's really all it takes as guys for a friendship. I think you just had to have one similarity. Yeah. And that's exactly. It. Like you just start a friendship.
For real.
Every friend that I've had, I think that's it. Like that's the only thing.
Yeah.
It starts with one thing and then just basketball is probably the most though, right? Don't you think like it's if somebody likes basketball, then you could get along with them.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the main things that are part of my life. And I know you mentioned earlier that you grew up in Boston, right? At like at 5 you moved to California, but you still are a diehard Celtics fan.
I'm a big Celtics fan, and main reason is Paul Pierce and his loyalty to the city and his grit that he brought when they won the championship, and he was kind of that core piece that brought over Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett. Yeah, that's what kind of like his just like loyalty to the team, even after 2007, even after like a really bad season. Like, he still wanted to stay with the team and he wanted to do whatever it took. He would sacrifice his role to even be the third man to win and guard the best player on the other team. Yeah. He would guard LeBron, he would guard Kobe. He was insane. Yeah. People don't give him his credit, but
because I think he might have stayed in the league too long for them. They don't remember
his Clippers
him.
Run wasn't good.
They don't remember him as the great player he was, you know. But yeah, I remember that like that era of the Celtics and Lakers was something to behold, because that was when I think the rivalry has always existed, but for us, like we didn't experience the 60s and 70s and that era. But when it came back to being that rivalry of Lakers, like I'm a Lakers fan, and when we had that interaction of it was Celtics and Lakers, it was a fun time, especially in the playoffs, to watch basketball.
Yeah, it was crazy, especially like we haven't seen a finals like that since Bird and Magic. So
oh really? Yeah.
For the Celtics and Lakers. Yeah. So it was crazy to see it at a young age and to experience that rivalry, especially living in California and knowing all these diehard Lakers fans and having to stand on my own. Yeah. But
you probably got shit on
shit on a lot, but dude, I just love basketball and I love the Celtics, and dude, it was a good time. Yeah.
For me, like I've never had that kind of rivalry thing. Like if you like another team, even if it's the Celtics, like I don't have any beef with you just for liking a team. Some people, they're like, I ain't friends with you just for that.
I used to be like that when I was little, but then I realized, like, dude, I live in California. Like, I can't be like a loner
no
Celtics fan. Like, nah. Like, I just appreciated basketball more when I got older. Just experiencing different games, going to different games.
What's a game that you've been to or games?
So my first game I went to, I think it was maybe it was like a beginning of the season, or maybe it was a preseason. It was a Lakers Utah Jazz game back when there was like Darren Williams, Andre Karolinko.
The Lakers
like,
sucked. Yeah.
No, well, I think that was around the time almost when they were going for their championship run.
In 2000.
Yeah, I think it was like 2006 or 2007 I went. So like Kobe, like I don't think they had like Odom, but
yeah. They still don't have. Did they have Powell?
I don't think
not yet. Okay.
They might, they might have had Powell, but yeah, it was crazy. And just seeing Kobe just like torch Utah, it's just like, bro,
he was, in my opinion, like the best player to watch, because I don't make any comparison of like he's the greatest of all time and shit. No, like I appreciate everybody for who they are. Like even LeBron James, Michael Jordan, in their own individual respect. I nothing but reverence for all those guys. But when it comes to Kobe, he was probably the guy that got me interested in basketball itself. Like when I started watching basketball with my cousins, all my cousins are Laker fans, and most of them are older than me. So when they would put that game on, I went to their house and they would have that game, and we'd all just be cheering for Kobe and the Lakers. And that's what got me like hooked on basketball. And then I started playing basketball, and whenever he would do a cool move, like I'd just go in my front yard, I'd have a basketball hoop and just like practice the same move, just like that. Like, so
I feel like everyone wanted to emulate Kobe in some way. He was just insane. Just like double team, back to the basket, post fade, mid post fade, like
everything, bro.
Everything was just like spot on.
Yeah, and his work ethic, I didn't know about this when I was younger, but now like you go through the YouTube videos and stuff, and he spent hours and hours in the gym working on the craft.
You don't really realize how much time someone puts into their craft, but like sometimes it doesn't even show in most people how much time they put in, you know? But like for him to put in that much work and improve that much over those years when he wasn't like the top guy on the team and Shaq was, you know, and he kind of like pushed his way to the top with a dominant player like that on his team. It's like pretty remarkable.
That's crazy. Yeah. And I mean, it's sad that we lost him so soon. That was one of the most heartbreaking things that as a Laker fan, and I think everybody in sports like felt it. Yeah.
Especially.
Yeah. Everybody in sports felt that if you, and even if you don't watch sports, you know who Kobe Bryant is, and you know how much he meant to everybody. But instead of looking at that, I always looked at like how great of a legacy he left. And, you know, it's, I probably wouldn't enjoy the sport as much if he didn't play. So, I mean, respect to him, and like I'll continue to watch like his highlights and shit. Like sometimes I pull it up on YouTube just to watch like some dope highlights of his
81-point game.
Yeah, 81-point game. He was
his last
different
game
type.
Was crazy too.
Oh yeah. He got what, 60?
Yeah, like 60 points. 61 or something. Yeah.
Oh my God. He was special, man. And it all contributes to, like I said, his work ethic. I don't think anybody, even NBA players say that he was like the hardest worker in the room. The coaches would say that and stuff. So you have to have like that mental grit that no matter what, I'm going to perform my best. And he set a standard for himself that was not unlike anything else. Like I think Michael Michael Jordan has that, and Kobe has that.
And you know what's crazy? After Kobe's death, it was kind of like revealed that Jordan had a lot of influence on young Kobe and kind of like forged his kind of mentality into Kobe at a young age.
Yeah.
Because he saw the potential in him. He saw the competitiveness in him.
Yeah.
And he instilled that in him at a young age. And Kobe just like took it like a sponge and just.
I remember watching that Last Dance documentary, right? You probably seen it. And it shows, I think one episode has on with Kobe and stuff. And there was a game where either the All-Star game or just a regular season game, but both Kobe and Michael were like having their hands on their knees and they're just talking to each other about whatever. And I think, that influence definitely helped him, because Michael, if you watch that Last Dance documentary, he was a killer. Like literally, this guy did not give a fuck about anybody, not his teammates, like not about his coaches, not about the other team.
Punch Steve Kerr in a practice, and then talk to him and apologize to him later. But he was something else for sure.
All he cared about was winning. Imagine that,
dude. He even wanted to win in that like quarter game.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When you bounce it off the wall with the security guard, it's like what?
Just to win, bro, and anything, and he's still like that. He's still fucking competitive.
Dude, he's still with Jordan. He's still, he's still a part of that brand. He didn't like sell it off or has someone like in charge of it.
That's probably
he's a billionaire and he's still doing it.
That to me is probably the most successful streetwear brand ever. Like everybody knows Jordan.
Everyone knows Jordan.
Yeah. And to me, like the Air Force Ones, that's like the best shoe ever. That's it, the silhouette, the design, and the red and white colorway. The red and white. That's my favorite. Like the original.
The classic.
Yeah, classic. I think they're banned too. Like they're the banned shoes or whatever. Those are my favorite. Yeah. Do you have a favorite Jordan pair?
Honestly, I like the Jordan 1s. I have a pair of those. I also like the Concords, the 13s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know those tops. Too. Yeah.
Those are pretty sweet.
The 12s are great. I like those. 4s.
The 4s are nice.
Yeah. And they just now Nike's smart, bro. Like they know that people like the certain design, and they just come out every few years or so, or every month, and
like different colorways.
Colors.
And shit.
That's it. And then it's limited. It's limited as fuck. So you got to go on whatever sneakers.com and shit. Like I don't do that, but I know people that do.
I do that shit.
Yeah. And they never get that shit. It says you missed out or whatever.
Dude, I know.
It's crazy. Yeah, so they make sure that it's limited quantity, so the demand is there, and then the resale market after that is also there.
Dude,
so they just have that shit planned to a T. They know what they're doing, right?
It's really crazy. Yeah, I have a pair of the Oakland colorway of the Jordan 1s.
Oh, okay.
So they're like green, and then they're like kind of like orange, kind of like light orange, but
that's fire.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
Yeah. When you go to, or have you seen the like complex sneakers? Like the people, like celebrities come in, and Joe La Puma, I think, hosts it, and celebrities come in. There was one time, I think Future dropped in, and they were in a sneaker store, but it was also like a clothing store. He dropped like 40 grand on clothes and sneakers.
Those videos are crazy when they get celebrities to come in and just buy all those shoes.
40 grand, bro. Like that's insane.
Yeah.
And I don't know what makes like shoes that expensive. And I'm pretty sure it's just the demand.
It's the demand and the reputation that it's held for so long.
Because they make that shoe for like $10, less than $10, like maybe like $5. And so
it's crazy
when you have such a popular product, and I don't know if the quality is decent. Like I wouldn't say it's like a Timberland shoe, like that type of hard working or like a construction site quality and shit. But it's more, but people still enjoy it and enjoy wearing it, and they feel a certain way when you have that on.
But yeah, they're definitely not the most durable shoes in the world, but they're still like probably like one of the most stylish shoes in the world. Sure. And the most like well-known shoe for the culture, you know?
Yeah.
Especially in the United States. And it's global now.
Yeah. Yeah, in the Last Dance documentary, it showed him or Michael Jordan after the Olympics, like the dream team and stuff. And during the Olympics, actually, they showed so like crowds of people at the hotel rooms and outside the stadium and everything, waiting to see Michael Jordan. And what they said was he brought the game of basketball to an elevated state internationally. It wasn't as big. The NBA wasn't as big outside of the US.
Yeah. And when the US would play all these teams, like all these people from their countries would be like, oh, they're playing USA, Jordan. And then they get into basketball because of it. Like they wouldn't even like know that their team is playing. They just know they're playing Team USA, you know?
Yeah. And then that actually elevated the game for the entire NBA, because now you see a lot of players that from internationally that are playing in the NBA, which wasn't the case, 30 years ago.
Dude, good example of that, like Patty Mills. He's like a role player with Brooklyn now, but like, dude, in the summer he was going crazy.
Oh yeah,
like the
Australia, I believe. Yeah,
he was going crazy for Australia in the summer.
Really? Damn, that was. I watched the Olympics this past in July or whatever. I every time that some people don't like watching the Olympics, but for me, I make it a tradition. Like I gotta watch that shit, because there's so many sports that, for example, table tennis or badminton, like you wouldn't watch that shit at all. Like that wouldn't be on your list of watching sports on a daily basis. But when the Olympics come around and you see the best of the world competing for that shit, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty entertaining. For sure.
Like table tennis, they go hard in the paint, bro. Like
dude, it's like China versus China sometimes. It's like crazy, man.
Bro,
they're that competitive.
They gotta either way they win a medal.
Yeah,
like silver,
man, they're
gold.
gonna win a silver, gold.
Oh my
crazy.
God. Yeah, I think China won this year too. That's how good they are.
Dude, they're insane.
They're on another level with that. They got the reaction times. You got to be fast as fuck, because the ball spin, like they put spin on the ball, so when it lands, it goes the other way. And so they stand
like a good 5 to 7 feet
away from the table just to get that. And then not only does the ball spin, you have to hit it and then make sure it goes on their end as well. And I mean, they go on some crazy rallies and shit just by doing that.
You have to be on some Forrest Gump shit to do
that. What else did I watch? I think there was volleyball. I remember that was fun. During that time though, I was actually traveling most of the Olympic, or like a good portion of the finals of the Olympics, like a lot of gold medals and stuff. I was in Denver for my cousin's, like, I don't know what it was, but like baby showers, something like that. And my whole family was there, like all my cousins and my uncles all came to Denver and shit. So every night, I'd say we were like just watching the Olympics in our hotel rooms and shit, and we'd be yelling and screaming.
Yeah, it's the best TV. In the hotel room when you have nothing else.
Yeah, when you have nothing else,
it's just like. Yeah, dude. When you're traveling during the summer and watching the Olympics, it's a different. It feels different a little bit for sure. Yeah,
and then we went to like some bars and shit, and they were also crazy with the Olympics.
Yeah,
every TV had Olympics on, and it was a fun time.
Yeah, dude. Next year, I think the World Cup.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Crazy for that.
That's gonna be fun.
US is getting good too. So
yeah. Dude, Have the U.S. qualified? Like they already did all that stuff.
I am not sure, but I think they did because they're so disappointing the last Olympics, and they have like good momentum.
Yeah, that's good.
They've been winning
because they've been trashed for a long time.
Yeah.
The women's, on the other hand, like there's no point in the other teams even like playing, bro. Like they beat them by
like 9-0 or something.
9 goals at least. Like
some girl had like 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah.
The competition.
Oh my God.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. There's, who is it? Alex Morgan's on there. I forget the other girls. Lloyd.
Yeah.
But
Carly Lloyd.
Yeah. Lloyd. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, it's just crazy. Professionals compared to just like amateur is like so different. It's crazy. Like,
but I don't even know if, so those are the professionals for that country though. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying in general, when you're just like, because those players, like they play on club teams and stuff, you know, and they play on more prominent club teams than like other people in other countries. It just depends, you know.
Yeah, definitely. With them, I don't know. Is it a different league for girls, like, or for women? Is it I know MLS is like Major League Soccer.
I think they have like a women's MLS.
Yeah.
And then they've had like club teams in Europe for a while. I know for sure, but it's not like as known, you know. Just like US soccer is just like the big thing here, but not as much like the club teams.
Yeah,
like,
over here though, I've seen the MLS get a lot bigger though. Like people are actually, I one time put on a game and the whole stadium's like packed.
Yeah.
like
dude, especially because there's
everywhere.
2 LA teams for the MLS now.
Really?
Yeah.
Who do they get? I know it was Galaxy and
they have the Galaxy and then they have LAFC.
Oh, okay. That's new.
Yeah.
Damn. We have 2 of every team, bro.
Has like a minor ownership stake in it or something. He had like a group put together to actually have that team
investment
hosted. Yeah.
That's good. Will Ferrell has nothing to do with soccer. He just wants that money.
I know. So what do you think about the Lakers this year? They lost 2 games so far.
Yeah. I was watching that last night and I thought they were done after they were up by like 30 something, 30 whatever. And then they came back to 10 points, which was reasonable. I mean, it wasn't a complete blowout, but they didn't. I don't think they played Steph towards the end and shit. So I don't know, but at least they didn't get blown out. And there was some like controversy or whatever. We talked about it earlier before the podcast about with Dwight Howard and AD. I don't know what the altercation was about. I'm pretty sure Dwight Howard held a press conference and shit, and he spoke about it.
I think the post-game press conference, they both talked about it separately.
What'd they say?
They just said that they pushed it to the side. They're chill now, but it looked like Dwight Howard was just trying to coach him, and AD was just like refraining. He was just like in the zone, and he was just like, dude, I'm like the top like 5 player in the league. Like, don't tell me what to do. But dude, I mean, when you have Dwight who's gone against like real bigs, and you're going against Aiden who's a real big,
bro. Remember Yao Ming?
Dude, like he's had experience with like real like big men. Like Anthony Davis is more like a stretch 4. He won't play center. They had DeAndre Jordan playing a little bit the other game.
Yeah. They need to work on their rotations because
but it's not like it's a bad thing. Yeah. But they definitely need to work on their rotations, and there's not a lot of big centers in the league anymore. So it's not like a serious issue, but it comes to when there's like a big man on that team. Yeah, then you have to, and they have plenty of big men on their team, so they're good there. But mostly it's just towards the 3rd and 4th quarter, they just needed to make the shots. Like there were some good shots, but they didn't make it. And I mean, what else are you gonna say? Like you just gotta make the shot in order to win. And they came close. If there was, I'd say like maybe
5 minutes when they came at, I think LeBron made it to 9 points, right? And if there was like 5 minutes, they could have had a good chance of coming back. But that's not how it happened. But it's
that's basketball when you run out of time.
When you run out of time, that's how it is. However, the Lakers, they just need the chemistry to click. Every player has to know their role. You probably saw Westbrook make some good drives late, and I think the fourth quarter and the third quarter, he made actually good drives to the basket, kicked it out a few times too, and made some layups and stuff. Yeah. That's more of the stuff. I think he knows that too now, that he can't just pull up and shoot threes. Like if they have to shoot or something, like it's down to 24 seconds, then
if you need a shooter, it should be LeBron. LeBron should be moved to like a shooting guard or something at this point.
Yeah, he made 2 threes like back to back.
Yeah, like he's a good shooter. They don't give him his credit, but he likes being the ball handler. And it's like, if you have Russell Westbrook who drives to the basket and kicks it out, like you should have like, he'll draw 2 guys, and then LeBron James is going to be wide open for 3, or Anthony Davis is in the corner ready to go inside. Like,
yeah, you have to have somebody like that, and they just need to figure it out. I know they will. Like Frank Vogel, he's a good coach, and they have good assistant coaches.
Sadly, he didn't figure it out with Paul George and Roy Hibbert in the past in Indiana, but
he did. I mean, he proved himself by winning a championship in the 2020 season. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see.
That was a unique championship.
Yeah. It was like literally a year ago. It feels like 2 years, though. It feels like 2.
Yeah. But a lot of teams weren't at their best, too. A lot of teams weren't in their minds, but the Lakers, they had a good vet team and they had a mix of good young players that were just gritty. They got it done.
Yeah. What was the Western Conference Finals that year? It was Lakers and
Denver, I believe.
Denver, yeah. Once they got beat Denver, I knew it was going to be easy with Miami. That, there was no choice.
And then Miami started getting injured too, like the first couple games, and then that's all she wrote. That's it.
Yeah, that was probably the craziest thing that happened. Was we created a bubble that's gonna be in the history books for sure.
Yeah, dude. I feel like NBA that championship is gonna have an asterisk next to it too in the future.
I think it was harder though for them personally. Like you had to stay in that space for whatever, like a few months, however long that was, and you can't see your family. Like they can't come in. And you had to eat whatever the chefs make and whatever. Like you can't go to restaurants. You don't have that much of a social life. Like you just had to stay in this hotel room with all your teammates and shit. That's never happened. And that takes like mental grit to be able to go through that. And I know it's not like jail. Like it's not like that bad. But
the
still,
freedom that you had is suddenly gone, and then your job and like what you find entertaining is basketball. Now it's more like required.
Yeah,
it's more
required.
Like strict on you. It's like, bro.
Yeah, you had to go to practice.
You have to go to like COVID testing every morning. Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, dude.
I think one or 2 COVID tests so far. Like that's it. Like throughout the whole pandemic, 1 or 2. And remember when early on in the pandemic, they didn't have like as good of a test, so they put that shit all the way up. Like when they said that, and my parents got that, and they went all the way up here, like almost like touching your brain and shit. I was like, no way I'm getting this test, because that's too much. But then they actually improved it, and then they do it like in the middle of the nose and shit, and that was way better.
Yeah, they even have drive-thrus where you do it yourself, and they give you instructions like, make sure you just put it up, spin it around like for 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Yeah, dude, the bubble was crazy, and it made the Suns emerge as a competitor too, because that team really, their chemistry was built because of the bubble.
Oh yeah, definitely.
DeAndre Ayton grew And Booker grew because of that bubble too. That game winner on the Clippers.
Oh, really?
To like clinch the playoffs.
I don't think I paid much attention to Phoenix that season.
They had to go like 9-0 in the bubble to make the playoffs, and they did. Or no. They I think they lost their last game. They were just out of the playoffs in the bubble, but they hit a game winner on the Clippers. Like, they were insane. Yeah. And then ever since then, dude, the Suns have been really good. They got Chris Paul, they got Crowder, dude. Yeah, they've definitely improved. And then this actually July, right? The NBA Finals, the Greek Freak, Giannis himself, came up clutch, and he had 40, 50 points somewhere around there. After coming back from an injury in the last series. Yeah. Pretty insane.
I know. And hopefully they all stay healthy and they could go for another run. We'll see, because their team's still good. They still got everybody.
It's really hard to repeat in the NBA.
Yeah, but it's been done. That's the thing.
It's been done.
I think it's harder in baseball. Baseball is way harder. You got how many games? 100 something? 120?
Dude, it's all about staying healthy and having depth. Yeah. Because if you don't have that, you're in trouble. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Lakers last year, they got injured, and that's a good example of it, right? Where AD got injured and stuff, and they were all going through shit, and so the Suns basically, torched them just from that.
Chris Paul was injured also.
But he played, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tough. Injuries are tough because it just depends how tough and how serious they are. Mm-hmm. And it's like Kawhi Leonard last year, he didn't even want to rule himself out, but he was day to day. Yeah. But he tore his ACL, some players are just like that.
Man, basketball is probably one of the hardest sports. If you ever play 5-on-5 and shit, you got to go up and down the court a lot for 40 minutes. And you're doing that constantly on a nightly basis, every other night or so.
It's takes hard on your body.
Yeah. And to see LeBron doing it 19 years, I mean, he's played basketball through high school and stuff too, but in the league,
years professionally is crazy.
Christ.
And at the top
too.
It's not like Vince Carter 19 years. It's not
he's still fucking amazing. Yeah. That's hard. That's fucking hard to do. Man. Do you make comparisons of players usually, or do you think one's better than the other?
But there's always room for debate in all these different players, but they're all great in their own space in their own time. But I feel LeBron, he's a mix of he's like a passer like Magic. He kind of, I don't know, he has everything, he's just an all-around player.
Exactly. I remember before he went to Miami and stuff, people, I mean, they knew he had potential, but they didn't really put that much respect on him. And then once he came to Miami and he started dunking on people like crazy, blocking shots, and won championships with that team, they're like, okay, this guy is one of the greatest. No doubt. Yeah. And he was in the NBA Finals for
4 years, or no,
I think even more than that.
Yeah, it was
he went all the Eastern, when he was in the Eastern Conference, he went 9 years. I think last year was
8 or 9 years, something crazy like that.
Yeah, last year was the only time.
But before that with Cleveland, he couldn't get past the Celtics. Mm-hmm. He needed a younger big three to compete with the Celtics.
Yeah. And then he made a good move going to Miami and
took Ray Allen away from the Celtics. Yeah. Got a lucky shot against the Spurs, and then boom, LeBron is the GOAT now. Huh?
I remember that shit so vividly. I remember that shot, Ray Allen.
That's the one thing I hold against LeBron. At the end of the game, he's not hitting the big shot. Yeah. And it's unfortunate because it's always Jordan. It's always Kobe. Even Paul Pierce. If you look at Paul Pierce highlights, it's literally him with the ball double teamed against Al Harrington, against all these great defenders.
You know who's like that right now? Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard can kill a defense when it comes to like the last minute. That's why he's called like Dame time. He points at the at his wrist, right?
Dude, he'll have like a shitty ass first half.
Yeah.
He'll start heating up in the third. It'll be like a 9-point game. He only needs like 3 threes to get back in the game. All of a sudden, it's a tie game with like 5 minutes left, and then the two teams are just scrapping for it.
He's on another level when it comes to that. I forget which game that he had got that buzzer beater. I think it was to either to get in the playoffs or to
they beat Houston in game 7.
Game 7.
Where they clinched it.
They clinched it.
Dude.
At the last second, you got that
shit gives me chills.
Fading away, dude. Oh my God. I think it was at the Blazers arena too. So it was
his brother went up to him and like hugged him after. It's crazy.
Oh my God.
His brother was sitting courtside near the half court. Yeah. And everyone was just like made like a huge ass like mob on him. Yeah. Just like dogpiled him.
That's a crazy picture too. Like there was one picture of it from the other side of the court looking on and seeing the ball come up. Fucking crazy.
Yeah, dude. The angles on that.
Yeah.
He even recreated it with like sports science or something.
Oh, really?
Like the angle of his shot and
the percentage.
They showed him how far he shot and he couldn't even believe it. Like in the garage or wherever they were showing him, he's like, dude, this is crazy.
Holy fuck.
Like I did not expect. But when you're in the moment, you have your momentum under your legs and you're just like, you're running and you're jumping, like, dude.
Yeah. It's just, to him, I think it's like the confidence of there. He had no hesitation. He knew, and the defense knew that he was going to take the shot, right? Yeah. That's the thing. Like, you know that the ball is going into Damian Lillard's hands. Nobody else is going to get that ball.
And it kind of sucks because better teams are catching on to that. And then they're like not making the playoffs or like being like the 8th seed, 7th seed. It's like, bro, that he needs help.
Definitely. But I don't think he's going to leave
You Portland. Don't think he's going to leave?
No. He said he's going to stay, but who knows? But that shot though, he knew for a fact, or the defense knew for a fact that he's going to get the ball. And that just takes confidence in yourself, knowing that you're going to make it. You have to believe no matter what, that you're going to make it. And if he missed it, that they would have said that's a bad play. They should have run something better. Like
I remember when Paul George said that when the Oklahoma City got eliminated. That was a bad shot, but Damian Lillard said, bad shot went in. It's not a bad shot.
Yeah.
So when you have the confidence to shoot from that range and you know you've been working on your game from that range, like
you have to
have your confidence. And at the end of the game, when you're the best player, like you're just going to get it done. And some players do that and some players defer to other players and other teammates. Just depends.
Yeah, it depends.
But that's
a lot.
When we go back to conversations about great players, that's what I see in great players. When it's the end of the game,
and you just know that you're the man to take the shot.
Yeah, it's not like when you're down, especially, and you're on that run to like get the lead or to win the game and stuff. When there's limited time left, like there's only certain players who do that and could only do that for so long.
Yeah.
And I feel like recently LeBron, for like a while actually, he's been deferring to a bunch of players.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's building these crazy teams around him that like Brooklyn's starting now, but like only one guy was doing it before, you know?
Yeah. I remember
like the Lakers did it a little bit, but they were like way older. They had Malone.
And the Warriors proved themselves to be like a great dynasty. But those players had to prove themselves during it. They weren't like LeBron
drafted.
James is coming.
Yeah, they were drafted to the Warriors. They weren't like, they were just like mild prospects. They weren't like generational talents. They weren't viewed as that. You know, LeBron has always had this pedestal on him. Like he's the greatest player, and to what, like, it's all like a narrative, I think, to like make him like, they feed into like he's the greatest player of the generation. And if
Steph Curry goes on what he's doing right now, making so many fucking
Dude,
threes.
he'll win MVP this year.
Yeah, he'll win MVP for sure. If he continues this, yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. He's proving it that, like, for, I think, the last 2 seasons in the show, people didn't really talk about him that much. But now he's like, you guys must have forgotten who the fuck I am, you know?
Yeah, dude.
Like, he's the greatest shooter of all time. There's no doubt about it.
Dude, and he's been dealing with little injuries, minor injuries, just like tweaks to the ankle. He's always had like ankle problems, like knee problems, you know, but he's really good.
Yeah.
He knows how to separate. He knows how to stay away from contact.
Yeah.
He really knows how to just step back. He knows what his range is. It's literally limitless.
Yeah.
And he knows how to get his teammates involved too.
I saw something recently, actually. I forget where, but they were the coaches. You know how they train players and stuff, the coaches? And they started measuring his missed and the make shots and the missed shots in practice by whether or not the ball went in the middle of the rim. So not if he made the shot, like if it goes through,
if it hits the rim,
it's a miss. Yeah, even if it goes in, it's a miss. So they said that now they want him to be that precise. Like he probably wants that too, like to set that level of standard for himself that it has to be in the middle. It has to be a swish. Like there's no, who else would do that? You know, if you're not completely obsessed with your craft to make your shot perfect everywhere. And if there's nobody around him, and especially in practice, he's not missing. He's not missing.
There's a video of him like hitting like 93s in a row, like something crazy.
That's insane. And he's won multiple 3-point contests, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you can't stop him.
Yeah. We'll see how he does this season. If the Warriors are like top 4 in the West, I could see an MVP run for him for sure. Yeah.
But we talked about Brooklyn. Yesterday, they came back. Like, I think they were down by a few points in the 4th, and they beat whoever.
Philly.
I forget. Yeah, Philly.
They don't have Simmons.
Yeah.
But Brooklyn doesn't have Kyrie, so I guess it's even. But I feel like those super teams with all those big egos, like the Lakers and Brooklyn, like it looks all nice on paper. It looks all nice in the season. First round, second round, it'll look all right. But when it comes to like the conference finals, the finals, like you got to put those egos to the side. You got to like actually have role players. Like the Warriors, they built their team as like role players. Like, okay, like we're all like in this for each other. Like we're all using each other for this play. You know?
I think it has to do with the expectation we have of the team. Like we see all these great players and we think that they have to be the best. But with other teams, like let's say the Suns, nobody's saying the Suns are the best team, right? Nobody's even expecting that, but they're proving it. Like I think they won. I don't know if that was their first game or their second game, but they're looking.
I think they're 1-1 right now.
Okay, but they proved it in the finals. They went all the way to the finals and stuff. Nobody expected that to happen. So the teams that are less talked about, like Milwaukee too, like we know that Giannis is great, but no, like the ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, they don't talk about that shit. They'd rather talk about the Lakers just because of LeBron and Brooklyn because they have those three. So
yeah, that's why I like watching like smaller market teams sometimes because like they're exciting too and they're getting better. Like everyone has an all-star now. Everyone is starting to have a superstar now. Like the NBA is getting more diversified with that. But then it comes down to like, okay, since now the competition is so much better, then all these players are willing to sacrifice some money, not their egos, but their money to just join a team with their friends, their colleagues, and they try to make it work. And I mean, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but history shows when you're trying to like forcibly like build a team like that,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because you could take like the 2004 finals, for example, like Detroit versus the Lakers. Like the Lakers did have like Karl Malone out, but like, bro, you have Shaq. Like Karl Malone's like 40. Like you don't need Karl Malone. Like, dude. But when you're going against like a team like Ben Wallace, like Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, like they all like played for each other, you know? They all like embodied like a team quality. But like towards the end of that Lakers run in the early 2000s, like egos are starting to like...
Yeah, Shaq and Kobe and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. And when it's like two guys, like imagine four guys, it's double the issues, you know? And then you have a bench player like Dwight Howard, who was relevant like 5 years ago, like yelling at AD.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
And AD not taking it the right way either. It's like there's a difference between the younger generation and the older generation that like it's like pre-social media and like post-social media. There's like a big disparity with like the mentality of these players. Cause like Dwight Howard, he grew up like playing basketball, like with a big center, like physical, like he came into the league like as like he was supposed to replace Shaq. He had like big expectations on him. Yeah. So it was like, it's crazy to see like the big man kind of go away, and it's nice to still see him have a role, but
they prefer shooters.
Now. And I feel like shooting is always great, but you can't always make the shot. Like what you're saying with the Lakers, like it's a make or miss league. Like though, like you'll come back and then you start shooting again. It's like, you'll start missing. Like if you drive to the basket a little more, you get some mid range, you get some diversity in the plays.
Yeah, it's mostly momentum. Like that's all you need. Just one or two shots hitting, and then you start going.
Yeah, the NBA is focusing on stats too much now. Focusing on the threes, and mostly because it's hurting teams that have good like two-way offensive players too. Like they could drive to the basket or shoot, but they prefer to shoot because everyone's shooting. And it's like the Celtics kind of been struggling with that. They've lost 2 games also. And it's like Tatum 2 of 14 from 3 versus the Knicks. And it's like, it's crazy. Yeah. It's like a player like that. He's like 6'9", 6'10". He could just drive to the basket, you know, but like, it's a shooter's league now, and Steph Curry is literally proving this on a night-to-night basis with 45 points on the Clippers and 10 rebounds. Yeah. And it's you don't have to exert as much energy, I think. Like with driving, you got to, juke the other guy out, cross over here, fake here, and then try to get to the basket. Yeah. With threes, you just need one screen. You hop around that and you shoot, and that's it. So they're getting comfortable, I guess, with the 3, but I like to see a more diverse play. Yeah. That's why I like watching college basketball too, especially during March Madness, because like that's like team basketball. Like you'll have like a team that like none of those guys will make it to the NBA, but like they'll be like one of the best teams in the country. Yeah. And I think that's like crazy to me. That grit and the team, like nobody in college thinks that they're better than the next guy. Like even if they're starting, like because they're all young still. They don't have like agents coming to them. Well, some of them do, but most of them, they want to have that college experience. They want to like nowadays social media focuses on these guys and like try to make them more popular than they should be when they're like still in high school or still in college, but like trying to go viral and shit. But like some of those guys don't like that, and they like the actual basketball experience. They like the college coach experience. Like they like being coach tough. Some guys actually like that. Yeah. And then there's a bunch of one and dones that are just like, they were known in high school, really well known. They made a name for themselves in college, and then they're gone into the NBA. Yeah. And I feel like it's good that the NBA is requiring them to do that, because then like I feel like college, I feel like just going to the next step in playing professional is important, but now they're doing like the G League thing for high school players, and I feel like that's a good way to like get like the top recruits and stuff, because like some guys get injured in college and shit, but like I feel like some guys actually enjoy that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's preference. I mean, they have a choice either way to go the G League route or go to college traditionally.
But if you're not a top prospect and you want to play and you were actually kind of good in high school, then you should play college.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It makes it a fun experience, like Zion Williamson and
but
shit.
like, look at all these, like, you could see the difference between like the NBA when high school players are coming out. Like some of those guys, like they retired like early. Some of those high school players, not like Kobe, but like some of those players weren't like they were viewed at the time really. They were really good, but then they ended up going overseas, and then their career like slowly like ended. You know?
Yeah.
But I feel like more recently in the NBA with like more of these college kids coming out, like second year, third year guys coming out, like, dude, there's like a lot of talent in the NBA now. And I feel like it's better that these guys are going through like a tough coaching experience before hitting the NBA and like having to play for each other and knowing like how to get the ball to this guy, what screen to set for this guy. And then you start like learning about different players and stuff that way.
Yeah. And I think the players and athlete performance has gotten better just throughout the board, not even basketball, but every athlete, because of the advancement in technology and people and science and research. So these coaches are having better training for the athletes.
Yeah.
And not only just physically, just for strength, but also recovery. There's a reason why so many guys are going into their late 30s and getting to that point and still, you know, being able to keep up is because the recovery aspect is much well known. Like you get cryotherapy, you get massages, you get all that shit.
There's a lot more
in the facility.
Stem cell research now is crazy.
That's insane too.
Like to think like tearing an ACL is like devastating.
Yeah.
Like to any like normal person, like dude, it's devastating.
Yeah. You're not gonna recover.
Like some people
fully.
never recover from that. Some people have like permanent like limps, like they limp because of like a torn ACL.
Yeah.
And to see some of these like basketball players come back from like torn ACLs, like Kobe coming back, like
Clay, I think, right?
Clay,
yeah.
Kevin Durant. Like Kevin Durant hasn't like skipped a beat.
He played in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's crazy. And he did stem cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like back then, here's a good example. Like Dominic Wilkins, like tore his ACL, like was never the same player. Like some players, like they drop off after a major injury, and it depends on the age too.
Yeah.
But Durant was lucky.
Yeah. Now through medical science and stuff, like there's so much they could do with, and they know like it helps people. There's good research from it, and with even like weed and stuff, people are legalizing weed and seeing the medical benefits of marijuana use and stuff, and it's helping people, which is great to see.
Yeah, the NBA stopping testing for that, so I feel like that's a good step into like the recovery for the players, and also like just showing them that they could like use other things, and just like there's other like resources out there for them. But yeah, the recovery aspect has been crazy for like compared to like 20 years ago to now. Like a lot more research, a lot more just focus on recovery is more like looked upon, and like not practicing. For example, like the Clippers, like up until like the playoffs, Kawhi and Paul George probably didn't even practice like 5 practices together. They would just like one guy would practice, one guy would rest, one guy would practice, one guy would rest. And then you could see it in the playoffs. It doesn't help them, you know, like in the bubble, for example, when their first year. But yeah, like some teams like use rest as a good thing, but like I don't see LeBron resting in practice. I don't like. There's some guys that don't do that.
Yeah, they still want to perform and get their shots up and stuff like that. But it's, I think now this era, like we're seeing after, I think the generation after LeBron, after he retires and all these younger guys come in, you're gonna see them a lot more people going to that age.
It's gonna be a bunch of Ben Simmons where when they don't want to practice, they don't want to practice. It's like when you're under contract, you should practice.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of these players, like Kyrie, for example, he just like left Brooklyn for like 10 days during the season and just like spend time with his family and shit. Like, when you're getting paid that much and there's like guys willing to step in line to just like take that role, like you should be blessed and fortunate, and you have to realize you're sacrificing your social life for basketball.
And I think it's just kind of, like you said, it's your responsibility in a sort of way to go for the team. And I'm not saying they shouldn't have social lives or they shouldn't do that, but there's a certain, I'd say, nonverbal agreement that you have with the team that you'll show up and perform. And if you don't do that, like even with Dennis Rodman, there was a few times where he didn't show up to practice and stuff like that. And Phil Jackson, I don't think he like cursed him out or anything.
Yeah, he let him do it, or he talked to him about it. And then, I feel like it's important for the coach and the player to have that conversation rather than a player just decided on their own and like have
he didn't say like you can't do anything or whatever.
And then like have like the team suspend you and shit because they don't know what you're doing. But I feel like the NBA should have like more breaks or not as much back-to-back games. I feel like that is really like killing the players like mentally. And like mental health is like a big thing that NBA players are talking about, like Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan. And like,
because that has a direct correlation to what they're doing, what everybody's doing. I mean, mental health affects everything that you do, because I mean, the actions you take starts with thought. So if your thoughts are messed up, and let's say you have to start making shots and you're thinking about something else, you're not going to be focused and zoned in to make those shots. And that's what it takes. You have to be in that zone. And with anything in life, really, if you're not in a good state of mind, it affects how you perceive everything around you.
Exactly.
Everything, like literally how your food tastes. You'll perceive it to be worse than it is just because
you'll perceive how players talk to you a certain way. Like everything, like if you don't have the right state of mind, especially when you're playing a sport that competitive at that level, making that much money, having that much at stake for like the team, like people having max contracts, like you're forcing these teams to basically lock in for 4 years. Like I feel like there has to be both sides need to work on with each other to like have a way to maybe like talk to the commissioner, the Players Association, to make less back-to-back games, spread out the schedule a little more, or maybe have like another week off besides All-Star Week or something, because All-Star Week doesn't even like count as like a vacation. Like some of those most of those players are going to like a city and having to play again, you know? So I feel like it's important for like players, especially if we want to see like the highest competition and see like the best players perform the best. They need to be mentally on top of their game as well. Yeah,
it's good that the voice is there and they're spreading awareness about it. When before, like if you said that shit in the 90s, they would be like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, but like even in The Last Dance, they showed how like Dennis Rodman, he struggled mentally and they let him go to Vegas, for example.
Yeah.
And they let him do all these things. And they ended up winning championships because of it. That's
a big part with with Phil Jackson. That's he he, even in the documentary, it said he practiced a lot of Zen meditations with the team. And that is so important to help people. Like even now with YouTube and stuff, it's easy to seek those sources. Like if you want to learn about meditation, you can learn about that. If you want to search up speakers and these different ideas about mental health, you could look that up. But during that era, you would either have to read a book or like find somebody that knew that type of information.
And when you have that money and you're that popular, you hang around with the wrong crowd most of the times.
And you'll just be influenced by that environment that you're around. And so when Phil Jackson started talking about the meditation and stuff, so I was like, that probably played a big role in the whole team, because most of those guys probably never even heard of Zen meditation their whole life. And so once they started, it becomes more of like a daily ritual and a practice that helps you get zoned in. Yeah. And when you're here mentally, the body just automatically knows exactly what to do, because it just takes a repetition. All those guys know how to play basketball, but I mean, there was this famous study conducted. I forget what it's called, but there were two groups and they both had to practice free throws. And at the end of the study, or at the end of their practice, they had to compete for who would make the most free throws. And one group, they were practicing with the ball and shooting it like normal, right? Normal free throws. And the other group, they had to not use a ball and visualize the ball going into the hoop.
I think I've heard about this before.
Right, yeah. So all they did for like a week, I think, they didn't touch a ball at all. They just visualized it going into the hoop. They performed better than the people that were shooting free throws with the ball. Once they had the ball in their hand and they had to compete for it, they performed better. And so that just goes to show how much of an impact it has, because if you're in the NBA, you know how to play basketball. The thing that separates the good from the great is your mental aspect to be in the zone as much as possible, which is tough as fuck.
It's really hard, especially when you have an ego too. It's really hard to like set that aside, because like your ego will start like attacking certain things and wanting to like you want to prove yourself, and but like sometimes you got to like take a step back and realize like
you're bigger than this. Yeah. And it takes those thoughts and ideas. I've recently started listening to speakers like Wayne Dyer. I don't know if you've heard of him, but they talk about like mindset and just spiritual thinking and stuff like that. And there's a lot of talk about the ego, and one of the ways you'll never get rid of it completely as a human being. It's just something that's a part of you. But the way to not think about it to not influence your life is knowing that you're not better than everybody else. Like you're exactly the same. Like you have problems in your life. Other people have problems in their life. You want desires for your life, and other people have that too. So when you start thinking of we're all one thing, we're not just like I'm living completely separate from everybody else, then you start to perceive the world and be more kinder. And and you show love instead of hate, and you're just more a part of this community. And that's something that has to be practiced. Like it's not just like I said this and then now I know it. Because for some reason in this universe, negative thinking and negative energy is somehow more powerful than positive.
It's crazy.
It's weird. I don't know why it's like that, but it takes effort to be positive, and literally it takes no effort to be negative. It's so easy to be negative that's what a lot of people do. It's a big part of, I think every problem is created through negative thinking, in my opinion. If it's all perspective, right? Perspective is your reality. However you're thinking is exactly how you're going to view the world and everything around you. So if that's negative, then literally everything around you is going to be negative. You're going to find negative things, even though those things will happen in a positive mindset. You won't look for them. You'll look for the positive in every situation. And that takes a bunch of repetition and a way of like maybe meditation, maybe whatever it may be for each individual person, but they need to find that. And it's good that recently, and I think even in the next 10 years, 20 years, it's going to grow even more. More people are going to start to understand these concepts.
Yeah,
right? It's so powerful
concept.
Yeah.
Because like with all these like addictions, I call it, around us, like everything can be an addiction.
The phone.
Yeah, the biggest addiction, my phone.
Yeah.
You know, like you just got to learn how to be mindful and realize like that's not like everything, you know, and like other stuff too. Like you just got to have like, you just got to be in your zone. You got to take a step back, realize if you're having negative thoughts and try to change it and try to work on it if one is going through a really tough time like that. Just constant negative thoughts, you know. And
the beauty of it is that it's an individual's choice. Like you have complete control. Yeah. It's to some people it might be scary, like hearing that for the first time, like, damn, my life is 100% my responsibility. Like I have a choice to think positive or think negative. Like it's 100. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Yeah. And that choice for me, like that's the best part of being like alive, is that I don't have to depend on anybody to perceive my life. Like I could have it however I want, whatever I want to feel. I could make that happen for me. And that frees you in a way when you understand that about yourself, that if somebody says something hateful to me, I don't have to see it as hate. Like I could send love to that person. Even though they sent hate, I could send love. Like that's a choice. That's a fucking choice. Yeah. And most people, because of their, like you said, environment and stuff, most people are part of the environment that their friend group, they might like just talk about problems and whatever is going on in their life, like criticizing people, talking shit about people. If you're around that, you're going to do the same thing and you're going to perceive the whole world just like that. Yeah. So I've made a conscious choice to not do that and try now, like just go on YouTube, look at these speakers talk and see how they think how successful people think. Cause I don't think anybody that's truly like really, really successful, you know, you don't have to be the richest person in the world to be successful, but those people that are, none of them are hateful. None of them, you don't see them angry all the time. They're always with a smile, happy. Like there's a reason for that. The
definition of success is very different, but to be happy in what you do, and to, even if you have negativity in your life, to turn it into like a positive, I think that's success.
That's success. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's hard to get to that point, and like you're learning all your life to just better yourself and improve yourself, you know?
Yeah. And I think society has these expectations that a lot of people fall into of, you have to do this by a certain age and then do the next step, and everything has been laid out by other people that have done it in the past. And
it scares people now.
Yeah, it scares people to think that, oh shit, I have to do this by this time, when really you don't have to do any of that. Like you have, what you do have to do is decide for yourself.
Yeah, you have to focus on your mentals first, and then you go on with, because like, if you don't focus on your mental health, you can't move forward with anything that you do. You'll always be struggling and be in a loop with something if you're not in the right state of mind.
Yeah, exactly. It takes a lot of fucking work to do that, but that's part of the journey. I think I've realized this now, that the negative and the positive both like help me no matter what. Even if something negative happens, I always see the positive first. I always try to look at the positive aspect, even if I, let's say get into a car accident or whatever,
Mhm.
I always look at the positive. Am I healthy? Am I good?
Exactly.
You know, that's what's most important. And when you start to view life that way, then everything becomes positive. And even if it's not, like I said, perception is the reality. So if it's, even if it's not, to you it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's some crazy shit that these ideas are now being actually taught, because for so long, I don't think none of this shit was talked about at all.
Yeah, it wasn't. Well, I feel like philosophers probably talked about it on a deeper level.
Yeah.
But no one really comprehended it at the time. And all these intellects were spreading crazy knowledge back then.
Yeah, I know, dude.
And no one was really listening. They were all thinking they were just crazy.
Dude. Like Albert Einstein, he has some fucking hard-hitting quotes that I understand now. But when I was a kid and I read it, I was like, what the fuck is this guy saying? But now that I understand how important it is, and like one of his quotes is imagination is more important than knowledge, right? Like why would he say that? Do you think that kids are cool with imagining shit? It's probably because this is how I perceive it. He says imagination is more powerful or more important than knowledge because through everything that has existed started with imagination.
Yeah.
We're looking at this computer. Somebody had to fucking think this. Like they had to imagine it in their mind. Literally everything. This table, this whole building, everything started in that form. So when he says imagination is more important than knowledge, he's saying that you have to focus on you have that power within you to create thoughts and images in your mind that will then come to reality. That's all.
I feel like focusing on what you want and imagining it will ultimately bring it into your reality some way or somehow. If you focus on it, if you work with it, not physically, but also mentally.
Mentally, yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how it happens. Everything stems from an idea. And that quote, like imagination, and he's not saying that knowledge doesn't matter, but he's saying that with that you could create whatever you want. With that you have, that's like your like a God-given gift to all human beings, that you have the control to create exactly the life that you want.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think most people, they look at what is, like whatever is going on, their circumstances, whatever their family's doing, their family situation, their financial situation, their job, their whatever, their circumstances, they look at that and they choose to identify themselves as being that person, as being somebody that's not respected, or not, they don't have any love for themselves, and that keeps them in that place, right?
Yeah.
And I believe Nikola Tesla, he said, if you want the human race to advance, think in vibrations and frequency. And so what he's saying right there is the same thing as Albert Einstein. Imagination and thought is everything. And you have, before you can see the thing physically, like have the success or have whatever you want,
have to imagine the
you have to imagine it first and believe in it as if it's a present fact. And that's what creates everything, like literally so much. Every successful person, I think, any creator, inventor, Steve Jobs or Thomas Edison, if you go back in time and ask them, they'll say the same shit, like that. It's all about imagination and creation in the mind first, then it develops into the physical plane. So, yeah. And speaking of like creation and stuff, I know you've...
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. I know we talked about before the podcast, you started graphic design stuff, and how has that impacted your life, learning that and being able to express yourself through art?
Well, I feel like it helps me just like keep my mind off of things that's going on in my life. I feel like it's like a nice little escape. Like I just do it for fun. I'm not like looking to make a career out of it or anything, but I just do it so like I enjoy it. It keeps like my mind clear, you know. It helps me focus on something. It's like therapeutic in a way.
Yeah.
Like sometimes like meditation doesn't need to be you don't
like
have to like
just close
sitting
your eyes.
still or closing your eyes. Like meditation could be like, you could be like dialed in on something and have your mind feel like clear and like free almost. So
yeah, that form of, I think even painting for people is like that. And like you said, graphic design for me, it's been just creating in general. Like with this podcast, you create content for it and stuff. That also helps me find a creative outlet, and I get to do this with people that I enjoy talking to every single week, and having a way to express my thoughts, my ideas about the world. To me, this is my form of meditation, and even putting out clips of the podcast, like having creative ways. I look at other people and how they're doing it and are inspired by whatever they're doing. And that's how I think you can truly live a fulfilled life, is
and
by
enjoy,
finding
and enjoy your life too. Like find something that you find enjoyable and you don't feel like you're working towards, but it's very hard sometimes. Yeah.
It's Alan Watts said it pretty good. He said, when you're dancing, you're not always thinking about the end, right? When you dance, you're not thinking about how it should end, right? But for many of our thoughts are going towards the future, when really you should enjoy the present act of dancing or the act of doing this or whatever, instead of always thinking about something that is not here now.
Exactly.
Right. And yeah, finding that thing for each individual person, like make that your life's work to like at least find something, because without that, and there's so much like you could cook, you could fitness, there's sports, like we talk about sports, like there's so much out here for you to experience, and just trying different shit. And some things even come up like randomly. You might have your friend tells you to go to this event, and you think about doing it now because of that event or whatever. There's so much out here that sometimes it's like, what do I pick? But then once you find that your thing, then you just become at peace with yourself, because you could always go back to that. You could always go back to that.
You could always go back to something that you enjoy that doesn't require like a perception of you. Like, you know, you're just like doing your own thing and you're doing like what you love, you know?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And I'm glad that the graphic design has helped you, and it even helped me. Like, I don't do it as much anymore after I took that class in high school, but sometimes I still like creating stuff. YouTube is probably the biggest tool ever created. Like, to me, it's the best website in the world right now by far. And that, just going on there and seeing how other people create things on Photoshop, and like you start with a picture of the sky, and then you could add stuff to it and make it like a stormy sky. It could be like just plain blue, but then now you could add elements to it and create something that you've imagined, right? That also has a key, like we said, imagination. You start with a thought, an idea of what you want first, and it creates it with Photoshop.
And I feel like little projects like that kind of help you like start somewhere. Like, okay, we start at ground zero. You don't even know what you're going to make. Then you decide, okay, you want to focus on an object. What object is that? Then you want to focus on the background. What do you want in the background? And then you start moving things around. You don't like that color. You start liking this color. You don't like this shape. And then it all comes together.
Yeah, it all comes together. And that's the best feeling, is when it's done and when in the beginning you didn't even know what the fuck you were going to do. And then now here's the finished product,
Yeah.
and you're happy with it, and that's amazing. Yeah. What time is it right now? Do you know?
It is like 11:10 or something.
11:10. Do you want to keep going or?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know when you want to.
Yeah, probably
Head
like
out.
20 more minutes or so, 25 more minutes.
Okay.
I'm solid.
Yeah, that's good.
I just hope this thing isn't going to ring again.
Okay. Yeah, you could put it on the silent if you want.
Yeah, it was my alarm, but I accidentally pressed snooze, so but I like swiped off of it, so I don't know if it's gonna ring or not. So I'm like waiting.
Yeah, there are people that put like at least 10 alarms right back to back to back.
I'm not that type of guy, but I accidentally pressed snooze, so it might go off again. But no,
yeah, the person who invented snooze, like that's
a lazy ass person.
Lazy ass motherfucker. Because who wants like 5 minutes? Like you're just either you turn it off and you take the consequence of you sleeping in, or you wake up. That's it. Like you don't need snooze.
Yeah,
bro.
Snooze is the worst button ever.
It keeps ringing every fucking time, and then but now though, like I can't even. Like even today, I woke up at I think 6:45. I was like, this is too much. I can't wake up this early. I was like, because I had some shit to do. So yeah, waking up early, and in high school, I could wake up at like 6:30. I'd be like fresh out of bed and shit. And then my first freshman year of college, I lived in the dorms, and over there. I had the same. I thought like, okay, I'm gonna wake up early again. I had 8:30 class. I'll wake up at 7. Fuck it. And I couldn't wake up. Like I had to push it to like 7:30. And I don't know what happened. There's something that happens between high school and after high school, and then you can't wake up anymore for some reason. I even had a 0 period 1 year. So that means the class starts at 7:15 or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't do that anymore though.
Yeah.
Are you a morning person?
I'm really not.
No.
I try to push myself to be. I try to do morning classes and stuff, but dude, it's so tough to wake up.
I know, definitely. Like I'm grateful that the class that we're in starts at 11:30, and that's my first class actually that day. So I have time to just like go through my morning and not have to rush through everything. I don't like rushing through breakfast and going to class just for that. I even go early just to play basketball. Like I on Tuesday and Thursday, I just go into the rec, and there are usually people playing 2s, 3s, and I just join them. Fuck it, you know.
That's sick.
And have and for like an hour. The first day I went extra early and I played for 2 hours, and I came in like drenched in sweat.
I remember that.
I was like, hell no, I can't do this again.
Dude, that's how I would be too. If like I would need to go home and shower again or some shit. Like I can't go into class like that.
I was naive, but to me that's it. That makes me like want to go to class too. Like having that before class,
it opens up your mind.
Yeah, it opens
you up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's I think exercising. They did like some study in elementary schools too, that the kids that exercised or like did jumping jacks, or the teacher went outside with them and they did a little walk, they performed better in class because of that interaction.
Yeah.
So it definitely plays a big part in getting like physical activity. Yeah. Are you much in, or are you into fitness and like going to the gym or whatever?
I used to. I'm trying to get back into it with my girlfriend right now, but yeah. I was into it in high school. I played basketball and tennis. So.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, but I got injured. I tore my labrum in my shoulder.
Oh shit.
So yeah.
How'd that happen?
I was serving like super fast.
So like, when you served.
Well, originally it started happening in practice that week, where it started like I could feel like the socket starting to like loosen up while I'm serving, because I'm serving like hard.
Yeah.
and I didn't pay attention to it. I just thought like I was just like throwing my arm too hard. So I'm like, all right, whatever. But then it was like a match on Friday. It was like an away match too. And I just like completely like tore it.
Does that feel like dislocated?
Dude, yeah, I felt like my shoulder was like down here.
Holy
like,
shit.
This whole like my whole like bicep and tricep was just like
Gone.
rope tight.
Yeah.
Like rope tight.
Really?
Crazy.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah, luckily nothing like that has happened to me. No injuries like that. I have broken my arm once, but like that's it pretty much. But yeah, do you think like that happened because your form was wrong, or?
Well, I've heard it multiple times. One time in like basketball, like when I was younger. One time actually I was at the beach and I was riding a wave.
Mm-hmm.
I was boogie boarding and I went into the wave and it was super shallow. So
Move this closer a little bit.
It was super shallow, right?
You could actually move it to you. Yeah. Or the whole thing, like just press it like that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so basically like I just went into the sand and like popped it out and it was like out for a second, but like the water like kind of like pushed it back in, just like the pressure of like the waves.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just started getting like looser and looser and shit. And then like it finally like gave out when I'm like serving super hard.
God damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I'm trying to get back into it. I'm just focusing on like my cardio right now. Like I have asthma, but in high school, like I kind of found that out. So
yeah, asthma is a tough one, bro. Like you can't, when you stop being able to breathe, like that's scary.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that you have, at the same time, you have to be weary of, but I think it's good to strengthen it with exercise. Like you said, you're doing cardio and stuff. It helps strengthen your lungs.
Exactly. So I'm just focusing on like my cardio, making sure my lungs are good. And then, yeah, I still need to work on my shoulder a little bit, get him stronger because sometimes like it still gets really sore. Like,
okay. Yeah. So it's still like,
healing. Like an issue. Yeah.
Damn. But for me, the gym is like a meditation as well. Just going in there and not thinking about anything except moving weight, just like moving weight. That's it. That's all you got to do, moving weight in certain directions. And that allows me to just not focus on what I have to do tomorrow or what I did yesterday. Just in this moment, I think we need those types of actions we take every day that just center us, that make us feel as if nothing else matters. And right here, that's all we need. Yeah. And just doing that. And at the same time, it helps your body too, just exercising and doing stuff. For me, it's always, I've never had somebody force me or tell me like you need to work out or you need to go to the gym. I've always wanted to go and wanted to strengthen my body and strengthen my mindset and stuff. Like nobody's ever told me anything about fitness or forcing me to do it. I've always been a sort of inspired myself, a self-motivator to go and do it, which has benefited me greatly. And I mean, not everybody's like that. Some people need more motivation than others. But once you do find a sort of ritual and routine that you do, like when the pandemic happened and the gyms closed, I was like, fuck this. Cause that was a bad few months when the gyms closed and I was just doing like push-ups in my room and shit. This can't be good. Cause it took more of a mental hit for me too, because like I said, it's like a meditation for me. That hit my mental hard and I had to adapt to that. But once I came back and now I go, I think around 4 to 5 times a week. I think that's a good, like sometimes you don't want to do it too much because you want your body to rest.
Yeah. I think 4 to 5 times a week is like a good way to go at it, especially like recovery wise. Like, some people just like lift every day and just like destroy their muscles.
Yeah, it's sometimes your body just needs to heal, at least for a day, I think. And even at my gym, they have a sauna and steam room. So I go in there sometimes, which helps like relax the muscle, and you sweat out, you sweat more and get those juices
all
going.
like the acid out of like your body, because it's all like lactic acid and shit. It's like stuck in your body. Yeah,
and you just need to sweat it out. And then also the blood circulates a lot more when for the most part, your body wants to keep your major organs like your brain, your heart, your kidney, and all that stuff at an optimal temperature. Like I've heard that your optimal temperature for your major organs can't go like either or, like it can't shift a degree or else you'll die.
Yeah.
If you go 1 degree up or 1 degree down.
That's why your body like shivers when it's cold or when you sweat when it's hot.
It's trying to get all the blood when it's cold. It's trying to get all the blood to those major organs. And when it's hot, it realizes it's getting way too fucking hot and I need to get this blood somewhere else. It
starts
goes into
going
your arms.
everywhere else.
Yeah, and it feels good because of that. Like because the blood's going this way and through your legs and stuff. So I find that interesting too. Like just going in that, and it's like I think 180 degrees in there, and you just get to relax and some people talk in there too. Like I had a few conversations in there just at 180 degrees. Yeah. Yeah. It's fun though. Like working out is definitely important, and it has been growing too with social media. Like you see a lot more people talking about it and sharing workout tips and stuff like that. Yeah. It's a community now.
Yeah. Right? I feel like fitness is like very important for like the mental aspect too. So I feel like a lot more people are focusing on fitness just for themselves rather than just like bodybuilding, like how that was a big thing back then, you know? But it's more just like fitness and having like the right state of mind and just being healthy at the end of the day, you know? Yeah. Being mentally and physically healthy.
And I think you have to have both, or you have to work on both for them to be optimal. Like if you slack on your mental fitness, but you're all you're doing is working out, then the physical will take a leap too. Because there are certain times where if I'm not in a good state of mind going into the gym, I'll have a bad workout just from that alone. Like just thinking and not being in the present moment or thinking negative thoughts, I'll have a bad workout. But then there are other times where I'm great mentally, but then I'm just lazy or some shit. Like I don't want to do this.
You're physically just not there.
You're physically not there.
It's a dynamic you have to kind of figure out, and
it's
everyone's different too.
Yeah, everybody's different, and for some people, some people don't have to go to the gym. They just like running. Let's say like they go on runs in the mountains, or they run marathons and shit like that too. That's great. Like you don't have to go to the gym like everybody else, or you could play basketball only.
Exactly.
And there's so much that can help both your mental and physical health, which is a good sign to see that a lot more people doing it. And I think even during the pandemic, that helped people because they saw that there's this pandemic or there's a disease happening here. And I think that put everything in perspective for many people. Yeah. Where for a long time, they were just going through their routine of going to work or going to school, and they never really thought about their health. They never really put any importance on that.
Exactly.
But when everything closed, they started realizing I should maybe exercise a little bit, maybe start with 5 minutes a day. I actually like this, and let me do 10 minutes, 30 minutes. And now it becomes a part of you. Like doing that becomes a part of you. Yeah, it's definitely just a good time to be able to understand this, like, because even I'd say like 30 years ago, most kids our age weren't being taught this. Like you were either like an athlete and you were grouped in that, and then you started working out, but not the majority of kids. I don't think they started like working out at a young age and thinking about mental health and stuff. So now that we do have the ability and it's become more popular, more people should definitely get on this.
For sure.
Yeah. Should we wrap this up?
Yeah.
I think, you got to go to work.
I gotta go to work
at 12. Yeah. Luckily,
we ended it right on time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good, man. I'm glad that we got to make this happen too.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
I really appreciate you coming here, and we had a great conversation too. So it's been an hour 30, something like that.
Pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks again for coming on, and I appreciate it.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thank you everybody for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed the conversation as well, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.